Straight into that, a resident of Fleurhof on the West Rand is believed to have been killed during an eviction operation, although the Johannesburg Metro Police Department says the death is unrelated to the evictions that happened today. They were running battles when police, SANDF members and the Red Ants descended on the area. The community accuses police of using live ammunition. A group of residents was occupying a block of flats illegally. So we are joined now by a reporter, Maageketla Mohlabe, who was at the scene, some very tense scenes earlier on, and Maageketla, from the people that you spoke to, very aggrieved, I could see. Just take us through what happened and exactly in relation to this body that was found in a nearby felt that police are saying is unrelated to the scenes we saw earlier on.
Of course, Tabiso, I mean, when we arrived there around lunchtime, we actually found police officials. We saw the SANDF members as well as the Red Ants actually kicking people out of those housing units. And just minutes thereafter, we actually had gunshots. In fact, these were rubber bullets. Police trying to disperse the residents out of those units, and of course there were those who were injured in that particular scuffle. But on the other hand, Tabiso, what we saw is a lifeless body just outside those particular flats, and according to some of the residents there, they are saying that this could have been the responsibility by police. They believe that in as much as rubber bullets were used, were unleashed on them during that scuffle, they believe that there could have been some that used live ammunition. And let's just take a listen to what one of the eyewitnesses said in that interview.
Lo muntu siphume naye la esethi diesel eseluze icontrol uthena ifika lapha wawa une bullet la phezulu maqondana nendlebe akusiyo eya rubber bullet, ibullet straight yesibhamu.
Re tlile mo re tlo batla bophelo mona re na dipleke tsa ho dulane ke sile bana mo ke dulang teng. I've got 4 kids o mnyane wa nyanya since ke ditso ba ke tsore ke thotse bophelo ha so kena ma Red Ants ba ntsha batho ka dlame ba re bolaya ba re tuya for eng re ntse ena ra bolaya botaida ra ba lwantsha.
I am not going anywhere. We will be here fighting for our rights. We are here not because we're bored. We are desperate for places to stay. It's COVID-19. We're not working. We're staying at homes. We don't have money to rent places.
To rent places. I mean, this is actually a similar message that we've been getting throughout that particular community there, Tsepiso. But on the other side, we managed to get hold of a sheriff who was in possession of a court order. According to him, that is the reason why we see those visuals there. And let's just listen to what he had to say.
We're moving people out. When they come in, it means they broke in and stayed there. Rightful owners are allocated units here, so they can't move in because of these people.
They are not using any warning. They come here, evict us like dogs. So we're asking the question to say, this is the government of the people, by the people who are doing this.
Of course, with residents saying they are not going to go anywhere but to push back in those units. So we understand that police are actually monitoring the situation there, as some of the residents are expected to spend the night without any shelter over their heads tonight.
So Maageketla, as you say, a very contentious issue in terms of what is requisite force. So we saw members of the police, the SANDF, the Red Ants, all descending on this area, which the MMC in Gauteng was saying, as you mentioned, that it's property that's been allocated to people on a housing list and that they were going to ensure that is electrified by Friday. Those people who are there, how do they explain they're illegally occupying these flats and why?
And of course, I mean, according to them, they are saying that they've been applying for RDP houses for many years. I mean, some mentioning since 1996. Ever since then, they haven't had anything as yet. And of course, speaking to some of those who have been allocated those particular houses there, they are saying that once they go to those units, they are told that they have got no units allocated to them. And of course, this again causes this battle between a community and other communities in that particular area, and we understand that they have been through meetings with officials in that particular community, and according to them, nothing has been coming forth, and which is why now they are actually forcing themselves into those unoccupied units simply because there haven't been any fulfilled promises as yet.
Maageketla, I mean, we've seen, especially where there is involvement of the red ants in Gauteng and in other parts of the country, that the situation has descended very quickly into violence. Some people see them as being responsible for why things escalate. But what is the reasoning from the Gauteng government's perspective on why bring in so much lethal force, if I may use that? Because if we're talking about a combination of the SANDF, the police and the red ants, it is bound to be a hairy situation.
Yeah, I mean, according to a sheriff that we had earlier on, Thabiso, is that, I mean, they have actually been trying to warn these people for a couple of weeks ago, until to the point where they had to then get that particular court order, which actually forced them to actually effect these evictions today. But at this stage, we haven't been able to hear from the local government or housing department at this stage in terms of why this particular force, because I'm sure we have seen in previous protests or evictions where there is force, obviously community always tries to push back, and obviously you would actually expect injuries mainly among the residents, and which is why we saw a lot of people today actually being injured after that particular shooting by police. And of course we understand that IP will try to look into this particular shooting, specifically with that lifeless body that we saw outside the block of flats today. So we are just waiting to hear much response from police as well, if they have to say anything. But at this stage, they haven't really commented regarding to that incident.
All right, thank you so much, Maageketla Mohlabe, a reporter on that story. Those images that you saw where he was in Fleurhof, it is a question of the day. We're asking you, I know some of you are divided on whether or not there is a need for use of force when evicting people from illegally occupied land or houses. Share your thoughts with us, #FullView.